Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are picking up right where we left off on this 2005 5.9 Cummins build. So you guys saw we increased his head gasket security with a PDD fire ringed ported cylinder head and the ARP 625s, as well as a fluid damper. Now we are bolting on the airflow. So today we are using the 03 to 07 industrial injection. Add a turbo to your stock turbo kit. Now they offer this with two turbos. Essentially you would replace your manifold charger. They also have an option, which is the one we're using, where you add your own S400 to a existing turbocharger. Then they also sell it where you add a turbo and they include the turbo. Now in this video, we are using a Force Inductions 480. This is their TDI line. This is definitely more of the budget line. Now that is not a stab at this turbo. What we need is a turbo with the smaller cover to be able to use in this kit. The TDI stuff honestly works really well. What I always like to tell people is if you're pushing these turbochargers to the absolute max, the FIS brand or FIS branded turbos are probably more what you're looking for. If you're running a atmospheric turbocharger for compounds, these TDI ones are hard to beat bang like for your dollar. But what we needed was a 5-inch inlet and we needed the small compact cover, and the TDI line is able to provide that for us. We have a 6 blade compressor wheel, so it should be audibly pleasurable but not 5-blade ear piercing. All right, and then we coupled that with a 132 T6 exhaust housing. And again, these turbochargers, if you go on Force Inductions website, you guys will see these things are oddly affordable. Now moving over to his compound kit, again we got up with the good folks over in Salt Lake City area, Industrial Injection, one of the few companies truly left that makes one of these kits. Downside, they will not ship these to California. So if you are a California customer, you can ship it somewhere else, or you could go pick it up from them directly. And then what you just decide to do with it is up to you. Now, these kits come very nicely packaged. As you can see, I've already started pulling it apart. There's instructions located online if you need them. These kits are pretty straightforward. The only thing on the third gens that I don't do is I do not evacuate the AC and add this line. Now, this line serves a purpose and I'm not hating at all. What I don't like about it is if you do have any issues in the future, you have to replace a non-OEM line. And again, this isn't a stab. It works well. I've done it both ways. But for customers that use their trucks to travel a lot and stuff like that, you might want to ask the customer what they would prefer. You can make it work with a stock line. They also include this really nice line. Again, ultimately totally up to you. I am going to modify his stock line to get it to fit. Now, moving on with what's in the kit, you got your heat wrapped hot pipe here. You have a heat wrapped and Cerakoted down pipe here. You have your oil feed line, your intake elbow, your interstage pipe, and then a 2-piece oil feed or oil drain for the big turbo. It comes with an air filter, comes with a band clamp for a 4-inch exhaust, which we will not be using because this customer is going to a 5-inch. More on that later. It comes with a turbo. It also comes with a transmission dipstick if you do not feel like you are able to bend your stock one. And then it comes with all the powder coated clamps. This is your interstage pipe boot, so this goes on the small turbo for the interstage pipe. This is the elbow for the compressor inlet, and then all new clamps, new coolant lines, fittings, hardware. It also comes with the heat wrap as well for the heater core lines. And then one of the nice parts is it comes with a new clamp. Now, if you don't recognize that clamp, it is the clamp that goes on the back of your HE351 that goes to the elbow, okay? This clamp, Cali isn't too bad, but man, you get into the salt belt, this clamp here can be an absolute nightmare. So we've already kind of started disassembly, and I'm going to tell you guys what you have to do. For starters, You need to remove your air box. You also need to remove your intercooler piping, and that just makes it a little easier for a turbo drain. You're gonna need to remove your downpipe and your exhaust elbow. And then this truck's a little different. This guy has deleted the heat exchanger, which is totally fine. It makes our life a little easier later. Obviously, we have the front of the engine removed, or the front part of the engine bay removed. I did that to make the video easier. Here you guys can kind of see, this is the AC line that does get into the way, and you'll see what we do with that. It's actually pretty easy. Props to Industrial for giving you a whole new line. For a lot of guys, that might be the best. From somebody like me that's had to work these lines over many a time, it's not too bad. And here you guys can see the dipstick oriented this way. Industrial sells you the dipstick that puts it closer over to here. Now this customer has a Stealth, I believe this is a 6064 on the manifold, and a DPS manifold. Now I did talk to Tyler. I'm not 100% sure this is even going to fit without some mods, but stay tuned. First things up is I'm going to go ahead and test fit the hot pipe. The hot pipe, essentially, we're going to remove these two manifold studs here, and I'm going to go back to an OEM style bolt and see how it fits. Let me get it all put in there and we'll take a look. And you know what, guys, in the spirit of doing this right, the AC not budging. We'll do the dipstick. I'll show you guys how to do it. So the best way to do it is you fire up the truck and you put the truck in neutral. That's when the fluid level will be at its lowest point. We're gonna have to remove that one bell housing bolt, and then you're just gonna hot swap it. I'm gonna put a drain pan under this guy's truck. But basically you're gonna fire up the truck, put it in neutral, okay? With that bolt, I would undo that bolt and swap the dipsticks. I'll set up a tripod. We'll make a mess. I'll put about a quart in it. I couldn't remember how much of the dipstick stuck out, so I just mopped it up here. So the minimum fluid level right there. So we're going to probably lose a little bit less than a quart, hopefully. So we'll do it right on the dipstick. But for future reference, if you find you guys yourselves where you need to stick a 3/8, and here I'll show you. This is how Meyer and I have bent many a dipstick. You get yourself a really long 1/2 inch extension. You jam it down in the tube. See how nice that fits? And then you can literally bend this thing whichever way you want. For second gen swaps, anything like that, that might be helpful. But in the nature of doing this kit by the book, let's do it. So the only variation to this kit is going to be the fact that I did not drain his air conditioning. Okay, so you guys watch that. Again, I got the bolt out, everything ready. Other dipstick set here. Fired up the truck, went underneath, popped the old one out, popped the new one in, and very minimal fluid. Again, neutral is the lowest level. So now, before we get too far along, I already did this because I had to take the oil filter off, but you guys see that Cummins turbo drain right there? You have to knock the freeze plug out. And this is kind of what it looks like. Right there, okay? See that freeze plug right next to your oil cooler? So you're gonna try really hard to get that thing spun out. The only thing I'll tell you, brake clean it, Scotch-Brite it, so that way when you knock that freeze plug, all that dirt doesn't fall in there. And then you're gonna try to get it to spin, but it's just gonna fall straight into the oil pan. fear not, my friends. Fear not. Into the oil pan it will go. And until you do an oil pan gasket, it'll just chill in there. It's totally fine. I've done it probably over 100 times. It's okay. You don't have to go in there and fish it. And then you will take that Cummins supplied oil drain nub and beat it into the block. So that is what we've already done here. Again, that is what you want to do right when all this stuff's taken apart. Now you guys can also see we removed his 2 bolts here, and now the manifold's a little warm, but is what it is. But we have his dipstick, and now you guys can see it's clocked way over this way. Now I'm gonna get the hot pipe fitted up and see what kind of work. The only thing I don't like about this manifold, after looking at it, I wonder if this logo is gonna have to get ground down, but we'll see. Let me get it fitted up. Okay, as fate would have it, DPS manifold needs a little bit of clearancing, but grinder, flap wheel, you basically just got to make it flush, and now this thing should fit. Before I put it all the way in, we'll test fit it, and then I will hit this with a little bit of high temp paint just to prevent instant rust. Looking at what we got here, we have our hot pipe installed. It's not completely cinched down tight yet, but you use your stock exhaust manifold bolts, which we had those in stock. Again, this can work, and you guys can see here, I actually got a little carried away. Really, I only needed to grind that little bit, but I went a little bit further, touched it up with the paint. You can't even tell where I painted that. It's pretty awesome. So sorry there, guys, got a phone call, but this is the hot pipe fully installed. Only thing is I did have to tweak the dipstick a little bit more. I kind of had to push it back and then bend it down. Again, that was really easy to do with that extension trick. Industrial sends it with the new heater core hose for the upper. It looks, I think it's, nope, gotta be this one. So this is the one they send it with, pretty sure. I don't know, actually. Maybe it is this one. Might be this one. I don't know. Either way, they send you a hose. This customer had the fleece line. So if you have the fleece line and you want to buy this kit, it does fit. I used the included heat shield, just kind of where it was by the hot pipe. So now, Crocs are a paid actor. We got our studs in. We got our gasket. I did upgrade his gasket to the better style MLS for problems not to be in the future. And we'll get this put on and then get our downpipe lined up and see how bad it's going to be. So you guys saw the housing on there. Now I want to put the heat shield on. RIP to me, unfortunately, that bolt, the other bolt fell into here. So I'm gonna put a pause on getting that bolt. It's like right here. I'm gonna get that in, but you would attach both those bolts there. Is what it is. We also had to clock his EGT probe differently, which is fine. And I took his fleece OEM replacement style feed line, and it was going off over here, clocked it inboard there. So now we can drop our turbine housing on and essentially get our downpipe bolted up and look at our clearance. Now, for those of you guys doing this Han Solo, as I usually find myself, I'm gonna show you a trick. You're gonna fight the downpipe. It's very back end heavy. I'm gonna show you what I did, and it worked perfect. All right, you're gonna come down here, you're gonna grab a 2x4 and lay it right here on the transmission cross member to hold the downpipe up, and then you can clamp it in. Now, we are not going to cinch the clamp tight just yet until we get everything kind of figured out here. You guys can see it has some play back and forth. I'll tell you what, this downpipe actually fits pretty cherry. Little clocked out towards the frame, but we can cheat that in the adapter. That is no big deal whatsoever. So we're gonna keep soldiering on here, and yeah, that's my little tech tip cheat for the downpipe. Now, you do need to pay attention to how you clock these clamps, okay? Because you might not be able to have access to them later. You guys look at how I clock that one down, albeit a little bit more painful than how you'd normally do it. However, or that one right there, let me zoom in. you're able to access it after the fact, because a lot of times these kits, you're gonna need to go back in and tighten everything. And now you guys can see we got plenty of clearance. I can get my whole finger between the air conditioner and the hot pipe. It is double wrapped and insulated, so we are making it work without the without having to disconnect it. Now that will help you DIY guys, because you won't have to take your truck and get the air conditioning sucked out of it. It'll save you guys time, headaches, and who wants to spend a bunch of extra money when, like, you won't even be able to tell that we bent that, like, at all. Not at all. Okay, so just kind of getting fitment. I got the turbine housing now cinched down. We have the center cartridge, and I tell you what, this pipe fitment, I've done a lot of these over under kits. That is freaking sick. This is better than any kit that I've made personally. I'm gonna definitely take some notes for future on this kit, because you're able to get to the whole oil filter. This pipe just goes in all nice. And guys, I'm charging the customer, and we had to pay for this kit. Like, that is probably one of the best fitting interstage pipes on these kits. I've done the pusher one, did not like it. Long time ago, I did an ATS one. I don't remember, but this pipe here, whoever came up with this design and cheated these flanges and all that, hats off to you. Again, that is probably one of the best fitting interstage pipes for one of these kits I've ever seen personally. Well, folks, duty calls, gotta go be a dad for a little bit. We'll pick this back up, and I think what I'm gonna do is time lapse everything going in together and cover it after the fact. You guys have kind of seen us piece it together, and I hope that these step-by-step kind of instructions are helping you with this kit. But all in all, so far it's worked pretty well. So I just looked, it fits with a BD manifold, it fits with a stock manifold, so that means it should also fit with a Dorman manifold. I just messaged Tyler and let him know it'll fit with a DPS manifold with slight modifications. Looking at the manifold, I'm not sure if it will fit a Steed or not. I'll try to double check that, but so far this has been a breeze. And again, just showing you guys another way to do it without disconnecting the air conditioning, just to make it easier for y'all. But we'll pick this up from here on. It's oil feed, oil drain, interstage, compressor cover, and then that'll be about it. We'll put like the intercooler and all that and kind of show you how it all fits together. But this has been actually very easy. They have pretty decent instructions to go off of too. To be fair, I've checked the instructions I think twice. It's a pretty self-explanatory kit, and I cannot wait for the third video in this series where we go test drive it and show you guys what it is capable of. So sorry, time lapse timed out. Phone got too hot, is what it is, but I was able to get you guys set up. Just had to be in the shade. So we got our oil drain line hooked up. They do these 7/8 lines, so this thing should have no problem backing up. I'll be honest, could it look nicer? Sure. Is this 100% functional though? Absolutely. So is what it is. Normally there would be a battery here. You wouldn't really see much of that, but with his battery out, you're going to see a little bit more of it, but it's okay. We got the forced inductions 480 thrown in there. We got our oil lines that comes with all the adapters. It's a 45 out of there, and you round it around to here with the street 90 elbow. Very nice piece, in my opinion. Definitely a nice way to do it. So now, and then I got our inner stage. Basically, you get the turbo tight, then you tighten the V-band, then you cinch down the clamps. Fits really, really well. I don't know if I said that before, but you guys can see our fleece oil line all tucked in there. So now I figured we could start this up. I will go ahead and throw the intake and all that stuff on. However, if you guys are doing this without all this stuff here, it's not gonna be that hard. The turbo drain probably fight you the biggest, but there's actually a lot of room over here, especially if you get rid of the battery tray. So now we're gonna go ahead and fire it up, see what it sounds like. I'm kind of curious. I'm not gonna let it run for too long. Obviously there's no coolant, but I'm curious, the fruits of our labor, what it sounds like. I'm kind of interested. Should be pretty quiet. Compounds, 2 mufflers. You know what I'm saying? Let me grab the key here. I told myself not to take on too much. Well, this weekend, double booked myself. What an idiot. And you guys saw us prime the turbo up with oil. Much quieter. Much quieter. I like it. Pretty soon we'll be driving it. Okay, and we ran it for about 4 or 5 minutes. I don't see any leaks. Turbo seems to be doing turbo things. Turbos seem to be doing turbo things. And essentially this is now a compound turbo 5.9. I'm going to set the camera down and kind of pitter patter get at her. Throw the radiator, all that stuff, and then the on-3 intercooler in. And then I will show you guys the last minute part of the install, which is simply the air intake and the charge pipe. The factory charge pipe is still what's used, which is nice about this kit. So if you bought aftermarket boots, stuff like that, all of that stuff will still fit with this kit because you're using the stock turbo. I also got a neighbor over there that just continues to drive around the street and absolutely rev his truck for no reason, but more proof that there are plenty of free-flowing trucks out in Cali. But let's get her done. Just a quick update, bolting on accessories and such. Got his alternator, got a fresh greenback on there. And golly, guys, one of my favorite upgrades. I don't know why, you can barely see it. Those fleece idler pulleys are just killer. So we're just gonna keep chipping away. Promise the next time I pick this thing up, hopefully it's more complete. I don't feel so bad. Picking up the camera, we got the hot side of the intercooler done. I gotta go get bolts. These are 1/4 20. Why they changed it, I don't know. But we got the power driven boots in there, a new boot because this is a 3.5 to 3 inch. And man, she looks good. I'm gonna get the intake thrown on. We threw coolant in it. Yeah, getting very slowly but surely. So I'm gonna throw the intake on it, and then we'll probably end the video off right here and then pick it up for part 3 where we go rip on this thing. There she is, folks, the moment we've all been waiting for. Wipe down these clamps a little bit. Fresh powder coat, fresh air filter, S&B. We did our best for clamp management. All the T-bolts are there or tucked on that side, except for the downpipe. This isn't tight yet, so I'll cheat that one probably under, but for right now, we fits good. Fits great. Plenty of clearance on the oil drain. I'm sure this customer will probably powder coat that turbo in the future, but the black with the heat shield, all the black hot pipe, the black intake pipe, we have the black inner stage, black clamps. They really took a lot of time to make this kit look really nice out of the box. I think the only thing, maybe some of y'all agree with me, I wish we would have done more of an AN style drain line. However, I cannot argue with the fact that this drain line is probably the biggest ID you're ever going to get in a factory block. So I will bow my head to that, being I know why they did it. I just doesn't look the best, but everything's routed real nice. You can still get to the oil filter. A little harder, but it's got pretty good clearance. Honestly, I envision the customer unbolting this clamp, pulling the drain tube down out of their way, and then getting in there with the filter. So all in all, for an over-under kit on a stock, it's not bad. Again, this is a mass-produced kit, and I tell you what, if they all fit as good as this out of the box for the price point they're at, not a bad solution at all. Folks, if you can't tell by the overhood light, it is dark and I am beat. So we'll end this video off here. I got it all put together. All in all, my thoughts on the kit. This is the first time I've ever installed this industrial injection kit. I've installed other brands' kits. I would say of all the mass-produced kits, this is probably the easiest, most driveway-friendly kit I have put in my time here with a HE351 and a 3rd gen. The only positive or negatives I would say, again, is that oil drain line. I feel like it could be done a little nicer, but it does meet the flow requirements. I got everything put back together. I'm not going to throw this guy's bumper on to test drive it. There's really not any deer out by me, so I'm not that worried about it. And if something does leak and the final hot retorque, I'd rather not have that ginormous bumper all up in my way. So I'm going to go test drive this tomorrow in the daylight on our next video, guys. Again, we used the industrial injection, add a 480 kit minus the turbo. This has an FIS TDI 480 96 T6 turbocharger and a Stealth 60, I think it's a 6064 on a DPS manifold. Again, they don't list this working with the DPS manifold. I showed you guys how to make it work on a DPS manifold. And I did talk to Tyler. They are going to update that on their website as well. We got everything heat shrunk. We did it without disconnecting the AC. We did do the dipstick and all the heat shrinking. We also ran his coolant line because he deleted his heat exchanger, routed that nice, and put a bunch of heat protection on there. Great downpipe fitment, arguably some of the best interstage fitment I've ever had. And then we got our On3 intercooler, which I don't even know if anybody's a dealer for them. Check them out. These intercoolers for your 3rd gens are absolutely incredible, especially for the price point. Only downside, AC condenser, quarter 20 hardware instead of M6, and you need 3.5 inch to 3 inch boots if you're going to use factory piping. And then he wanted a different intake horn that didn't work before. I was able to modify his intercooler pipe to get it to work. I got to button up a couple of gauges, but all in all, I think this kit fit great. I think it looks really nice. I think if he decides to powder coat that turbo, it'll look even better. We do have to throw the turbine housing blanket on that big turbo. I'm just leaving it off until I get the full exhaust on. But we'll pick this up. I don't know on the next video if it'll just be driving or maybe I'll show the exhaust getting thrown on too. But all in all, great kit, decent price point, very nice fitment. Couple of small tweaks I would make a difference. And honestly, if you guys bought this kit, you could easily just make your own AN line. But give this one a big thumbs up. I'm telling you guys, this is going to be one of the best driving 5.9 trucks you'll ever have for that 650 to 1,000 horsepower. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe if you're not already. And as always, I'll catch y'all on the next one.